Welcome to the stage, Mike Zakarian.
All right, what's going on, everybody? We are joined by George. This is our first time doing a little So Rare Sharps. I know we had talked about doing it for a little bit. Finally, happy to have it up and running. How are we doing, man?
Yeah, I'm all good. I'm excited to talk NBA. Well, So Rare NBA in particular. So, and in season tournament especially, I think the first night I would deem as a huge success.
Yeah, it's been fun. I enjoyed it. I mean, I think I'm still a little colorblind from or blinded from some of those courts. Also, just real quick, I see Matic Otto in the chat saying live on Bourbon Street. So we're out in New Orleans right now, Matic Otto. It's dangerous. Bourbon Street, daytime Bourbon Street energy is dangerous. But I'm happy for you. Get after it. All right. So yeah, that's what I think we should do. I think let's just each week we'll kind of find out another or like pick another. I don't want to say like big brain or big topic or anything like that, but just find something to dive into. And since we've had 1 week or one game week of the in-season tournament that starts up again this upcoming game week. How did you fare in the first game week?
I wouldn't say terribly, but I wouldn't say it was great. I did run a few questionable picks.
Okay.
The 3 new cards that were coming into there, I was like, I forgot to do that until like 2 days before. So then I was scrambling to sort of assume a lineup into it. But I'm sitting in 339th right now. So I'm in the money and I'm targeting the higher up ones. I'm not sure I'm going to catch Mr. Rojas, who is currently at the top. But yeah.
Mr. Rojas with a 314 point week, which is pretty impressive. Yeah, so I guess I kind of did it last minute. So I mean, I posted this on Twitter. I messed up. I did the thing where I built the perfect lineup and then realized you needed 3 year 2 cards, not 2 year 2 cards. Then I had to go pivot and buy a limited 8 at the last minute. But so I had a solid performance, right? I had 8 and dropped 47 for me. I got 61 from Curry and 54 from Kyrie. But then both Bam, I did not get the 75 point Bam night. I got the 21
I was going to say.
Yeah, I got the over the weekend. He dropped 21, and Giddey was bad too without SGA. So I scored 203 points, and I was actually surprised to learn that I was top. I'm 298 right now, and so I guess that's where I want to start with. Do you think, like moving forward, do you think a lot of people felt like this contest was going to be a little bit out of reach compared to what some other rosters were going to be, and like filled out contender and champion first, or like, how do you think people are approaching it?
So I think the way in which these monthly tournaments are going to run, and they've been doing them now a little bit more on the football side from it before, but I think people is exactly what you said. I think people worry that they don't have the gallery to compete in them, when in reality, only few managers within the whole game have stacked galleries of these new cards where they're going to smash everyone out. You can play it competitively. I mean, like the 3 cards I used this week, fair enough, Luka Doncic's, I did buy a Luka to start this year, so I had him. But it was Kyle Kuzma and Jeremy Grant. Like they're no one that's breaking anyone's balances here. So I think that it's getting over the idea that you need to have like £1,000 lineup to compete. It just isn't that at all. So I think the more people see this, and I think this will go along potentially after this is done, and if they do more of them throughout the season, I think people will see it as that, oh, I can actually play these as well. Like it isn't that deep.
Yeah, and I'll be honest too. I was a little concerned when I messed up my roster construction, and I was like, "Oh, now I got to add a limited. That's going to really throw things off." And it doesn't throw. Like I'm looking at it right now. The person in second place, Duskio, he's got a limited card in there. Now, granted, it was Desmond Bain who went for 75, but he doesn't have any of.
100%.
Yeah, go ahead.
The guy in third place had 4 limited cards. So when I was looking at it when it originally come out, I was like, oh, I don't have any new season rare cards. I'm not really going to get the boost here. It just isn't that at all. There is still going to be a way in which some guys are not going to perform. And the limited cards, although they're 10% less, it doesn't mean you can't compete. Like if the guy in third's getting 294, I know it's not sustainable in that aspect every week, but there's definitely scope for everyone to sort of get involved in it. And that's the key thing there.
Yeah. So I guess like going into, and maybe because you had the football experience and for us basketball bros who haven't been over there, we haven't seen like these monthly contests. Was that the first lineup you built out? Was your in-season tournament lineup?
This week, yes.
Okay.
I don't know, like for game week 1, I don't know if I'm going to do that for the next one because it will all depend on where I feel my best priority lineup is going to be in, whether it's in champion, whether it's in this or not. And I think that's what you should do in general, like regardless of the monthly competition for it. But I can 100% see the appeal on this one though, because it doesn't seem like it's going to be, I mean, touch wood, and this is going to jinx it completely. It doesn't seem like it's going to be that too hard to win.
Yeah, or at least like right, at least, and especially, and I don't know, maybe what's happening is people listen to us or they've looked at the leaderboard and they were like, oh man, I should be taking some more shots at this. And so I'm like more fascinated to see what happens after this second week and see what the scores look like.
It's the best 4 scores, right, over the 8 weeks. So it's not even, if you miss the first week, it's not even that detrimental, right?
I thought it was 5. I might be wrong there. I thought it was.
I might be getting myself confused with one of the football ones there. But if it's 5 weeks and they take your best 4, you can still get involved this week in it. Is the main thing.
Right. I think you could take. I think they dropped 2 of your scores. I think it's like 5 of 7 or something like that. I don't know, but but yeah, right. So I do wonder, like, if a lot of people were doing that, because I know there was a lot of conversation before lock that day of being like, actually, if everyone's going to be putting their best lineups in the in-season tournament, maybe you'll see the contender and champion tournaments have a little bit of a lower ceiling because of that. So now I'm wondering if they like see that scores and they're like, oh, wait, no, I should be throwing these in the in-season tournament. Because I'll be honest, I was really surprised when Josh Giddey and Bam combined for 42 points. I was like, man, my lineup is toast. And then to see still top 300, I was like, okay. So because of my performance in that first game week, I actually kind of went out and made a few moves to attack this second one because I think I want to try to ride that wave.
I think the way in which I'm going to see it for this coming week, so like game week 6 and the second week for the in-season, because the cap in the in-season tournament one is like 140 as opposed to 120 in champion. I think the cards that I think are going to really out-project their caps, I'm probably going to put in champion and contender still. And then the ones where they've not got as much as a projection and they're just near their cap mode, I'll play in the in-season tournament one, because then I'm kind of looking to see, all right, this is a war of attrition over 5 weeks. I just need scores coming in. And I feel like that'd be the better place for those cards. But that means there's still a place to play cards. Like that's what everyone wanted, and that's what's happening. So it's like,
I was having this conversation with TST today, and it was like the same conversation of like, who would have thunk it that more tournaments are better. Like, because I feel the exact same way, and because of that, it's actually I spent this whole week scooping up some more cards, and it's because, like, I was so hesitant to do it last year because I'm like, what? I mean, I'm going to roster 10 of these and then that's it, or maybe 15. But like, so why would I be securing more of a gallery? And now I'm like, I'm rolling out 4 different lineups that include rare cards. So I'm like, this is awesome.
Yeah. So I think I want to see more common ones is the one gripe. Yeah. And I think TST, because TST like cashed on the common ones in the playoffs as well.
Yeah,
like, that was his whole like niche. That was his jam last year for it. But I want to see more common ones, just of a general. It's just, if I don't win anything on limited or rare, then I have something that at least I got this tier 2 common that might help me in the future. So I'd like to see more of that. And then I've said this to some of the guys as well. I want to see like mid-range entries to the other scarcities. Like I know there's a limited tip-off one for people that don't have, or like just getting new into the game, but I'd love to see something like that. You had 3 limited cards and 2 rares, like you have in the in-season tournament one, that will just sort of get people to get involved in rare and then super rare. Because right now the price differences on season 1 and season 2 cards are nuts. I think it's because people are just only buying season 2 cards to play for the in-season tournament, and that's where it can get a bit fruity. So
I know. I will say I got a year 2 Kyrie for just under 200 though last week, and I was really, I don't know if it's because he was like questionable or something like that, and I was like, this felt like a steal. But you're right. Everybody else has been so jacked up. Real quick, just from the chat, Jump Shoot, they said something about this, like the head-to-head. I think they're calling it Rivals, right? And that is, you can actually, they're testing that out right now. I think we talked about that at the opening day. But yeah, I totally agree, man. When I'm sure you remember this too, at the beginning of the first season of year 1 of Sorare NBA, they did have those mixed tournaments. And, and I mean, and that got me to play in the football side of things. Like when Premier League came out, I was like, oh, I'll buy one limited, and then I'll buy a few more, and then I can do where you do like 4 limiteds and 1 common. Like I think the more the merrier. I'm sure logistically it's a nightmare for them, and they're still trying to figure it out. I get all of that, but I mean, clearly just by adding the in-season tournament, people are like, oh, dope, we've got another use case. And it's just like more game theory of like where you're using your cards, you know?
Well, we're going to get the random ones that are going to come back soon as well. Like they mentioned it at the start, like the all offensive, all defensive, the East and West Conference and stuff. They mentioned them. Right. They haven't said when they're coming about yet, though. But we're going to have those that come back again. So there'll be even more stuff to play.
My guess is that once the in-season tournament stuff starts winding down a little bit, they'll start introducing some of the other things. Would be my guess. Have you started building out your roster at all for this coming week? So
I've been making some pickups in terms of general cards that I just wanted last year and then didn't buy and then want them this year. I'm currently going, I wouldn't say full Jeb Bush, but I'm trying to get some of those sort of low L10 guys. I'm like, if he gets injured and he gets injured, I could be in the money here. And predominantly it's just Jackson Hayes, because I think AD is just due an injury soon, and that's how it works. But now there's I've been lucky enough to hit a few decent rewards and decent finishes at the moment, so that's sort of tying me over. But I got some other guys.
What did you end up? Because I know in the game, was it game week 1 or game week 2? You had if Jordan Poole wasn't a huge pile of crap, I felt like you had a shot at winning the whole thing. Where did you end up finishing that game week?
So I have like an affinity with the number 30 at the moment. So I finished 30th in champion, and then I finished 30th in contender, and then 31st in contender in 3 game weeks. Jordan Poole was like, if Jordan Poole doesn't do anything, that's the annoying one. The one that really got me was Utah. Played like 27 minutes and was like, do you know what? I'm just going to turn the ball over for those entire 27 minutes. And that was it.
Did he end up negative?
It was like 3 points when he was like projected 20, and I was like, yeah, this has gone brilliantly. But yeah, I've been lucky enough. Like it's hard to win rewards this year, so I'm not going to be sitting there complaining, I only finished 30th.
Right. What I mean, I think it's like a lot of fantasy basketball or daily fantasy basketball, right? It's really hard to win, but it's even more tilting when everything finally aligns and you're like, okay, this is the week that's supposed to pay everything off. And then Jordan Poole's like, nah, dude, I'm not interested.
No, but that's the best thing about, I mean, even though it's like failed both times, the sweat is what you live for. That is what makes Sorare great. That I'm sitting there at like my time at like midnight thinking, come on, Utah. Just score the ball, Utah. And it's just never happening. But yeah.
He's like, no, thanks. This is going to be, I think, my 3rd consecutive game week where it's going to be less than 7 points for me missing a reward. I think I've been like right on the cusp for a couple of different weeks, but you were telling me, so you picking up some Jackson Hayes. What other kind of spots have you been targeting right now to bolster your roster up a little bit?
So the next one I'm looking at is Paul Reed, because again, I'm just expecting Joel to start to sit a game or potentially get injured, especially with Nick Nurse being like, yeah, you're going to play 48 minutes tonight, mate. And then the other ones are just sort of role players that seem to be like Malik Beasley's one, but he's obviously really expensive in the time being. But I feel that when you can get these guys at these low L10s, especially this year with how like the season 2 cards are valued, I think winning rewards early this year is amazingly like the alpha that's there, if you can pick some stuff up, is great. So yeah, at the minute, Paul Reed, Malik Beasley, a few of the other guys like that. Josh Richardson I like, but again, that was one that sort of nabbed off TST at the start of the year, so I'm not going to claim that one.
Yeah. I actually, so I did some shopping today because for the first full year, and we talked about this a little bit of me playing, I kind of just grinded out contender contests. And I was like, I don't really want to drop a big old bag of cash. So I'm going to slowly build up a lineup. And then I realized that I was still spending the same amount of money. Like I was just doing it throughout the course of the year instead of just spending it at the beginning. So I decided, and also shout out Underdog Fantasy because that helped. But I went out and picked up here. I'm just going to share a screen and show you what I picked up today, even though you already touted Jackson Hayes, which then immediately made me nervous. But I went out and got myself an Anthony Davis rare today to give myself an official MVP because I do not have an MVP. And then I picked up for these two right here, Zion. I know he's sitting tonight, but that's more about rest. I picked him up and DeAnthony Melton to plug into my my in-season tournament. And then same thing with like Derek Jones Jr. Like those are types of guys that you were talking about, right? These like lower L10 guys. So Gary Payton, who seems to be playing better than Andrew Wiggins now. Derek Jones Jr. And then look at our boy Gillespie over here, huh? We got a couple Gillespies just out here balling.
You got the new Gillespie as well. The new one. Yeah. The new one's an action shot from last year. That would have come with a healthy premium come All-Star weekend. But
yeah, he got out of his injured clothes just to put the jersey on for the photo. But yeah, so I needed like an actual MVP, especially if I wanted to do these in-season tournaments, because I have Steph and I have Kyrie, and like I love Steph, but Steph right now, week to week, doesn't have a ceiling that like Anthony Davis does. Where like Anthony Davis feels like he's 25 and 15 almost every single night now, and like 3 blocks on top of it. So I needed to go make a move, and I didn't want to spend an insane I needed to be in that like $400 to $600 range, and so. I totally get the. I think a lot of people will give me not grief, but would be like, "Well, Donovan Mitchell's in that range, Tyrese Halliburton, LaMelo Ball." I totally get all, and Anthony Edwards, but I went the AD route.
So I wanted an AD, and I was looking at AD before the season started. Like when the playoffs ended, and it was in like that month after, and everyone was down. AD was like I think $240, $250. He was so cheap. And I was like bargaining over the idea of like, do I deposit or do I try and trade? And because I waited so long and then like they slowly crept up, I'm like, I'm not buying him at this rate now for how I could have had him at $250.
Yeah,
that's my issue. Because when he's on form, AD is the best out of that realm of which you said. I've got an Anthony Edwards and I bought him cheap last year for like 150 when he was like
that's great. That's
the backup unit for it. And now he's like 300, 400, but he doesn't have the ceiling because of the defensive actions that like an AD can get. And plus you can go playoffs. So out of that realm that you said, like LaMelo's and all, they're great now, but I think come playoff time, you should be in good nick for them, mate.
And so this is what I think I'm going to throw into. I mean, I'll still mess with it. Sorry, where am I going? Because I was trying to build out the in-season first, just because I was having fun with it. And so where are we? Over here. So I think this is what I'm going to be rolling out. So we've got our Kyrie, Zion, and DeAnthony Melton for our like new cards, and then threw in AD and Maxey as well with this one. So I think
this looks a lot better than mine, and now I'm concerned that my lineup isn't as good for.
Well, George, if you want to feel better, I mean, you are the one that has won rewards, so I feel like I probably should be taking more notes from your performances.
The issue of mine is I got Devin Booker and he doesn't seem to like playing basketball anymore, which is the other main issue for it. But
that's brutal.
Yeah, Devin Booker was he's going to be my cheap. The issue with this is I've been like, I don't want to go and buy a Luka rare or a Jokic rare. Let me go and buy the second tier of them. And then when they don't perform, I'm sat there like, well, why did I not go and do that? That was silly.
I know. I was trying to talk myself into, because I got the AD this morning. Also, this was after I hit Victor Wembanyama on Top Shot and then flipped it to buy the Anthony Davis. So there you go.
Oh, okay.
But I was thinking about trying to go get Joel Embiid because Embiid is like $200 or $300 cheaper than, and I'm sorry, I'm talking in US dollars. I know you
That's
are
fine.
a pound man and Eve, but Embiid's like is cheaper than those guys, and I feel like his ceiling's just as high too. I think that so I was kind of surprised to see that he was, a decent chunk cheaper than those guys.
I mean, Embiid was like the first big limited card I bought last year, and I mean, I don't understand how he's that price. I know it's because he gets injured and everything from it, but he has the ceiling to hit like 75, 80 plus point games quite comfortably. So I don't know how he's as cheap as he is in that scenario, but I mean, the market works how the market works. So I don't really.
Right. Bobby in the chat was saying, any comments on Giannis? He's dropped the ball as MVP, I think. Yeah, he has had a couple of tough weeks. I don't know. Are you thinking it's just like new season rust, or?
I think it's teething. It's just teething problems with. I mean, I spoke about this and absolutely shameless plug that's coming here. The most recent podcast that we've done over at the Swingman Podcast, we spoke about like in the first 2 weeks, what are the things that we learned from the NBA. And I think it's just teething issues. He's got used to playing his whole time with Drew Holiday, Milton. And now Damian Lillard's come in and been like, I'm the man. Give me the ball. I'm going to run it. And it hasn't really worked, apart from, of course, when he plays the Sixers. So I think I don't think anyone's going to be like, oh, Giannis is not going to be an MVP going forward. I think it's just a blip right now.
Yeah, I mean, he is still putting up like pretty solid numbers. It's just not what we saw last year. So if that is teething, as you said, then he should, I think, round into form pretty soon.
Take the silver lining. If you own a Giannis right now, all he's doing is reducing his cap for the future, and then you can put him with another MVP. So it's great.
I know. Well, that's what when I was placing Zion into lineups for this upcoming game week. His cap is down to 34 now, which I mean, that's contender level. Like you can just throw that into contender pretty comfortably. So it is kind of nice when that stuff happens. I don't know anything.
I was just looking at right now in terms of where I'll be fielding my next lineup in terms of the in-season one, and it is at the point where you then have to sit back and go, like, do I want to run Anthony Edwards on an L10 of 47? Like, I know he hit a big score the other night, but I really don't like playing Anthony Edwards when he's playing with Towns and Gobert. It just doesn't. Weirdly, it seems better when it's just Gobert. But every time I'm like, I'm expecting to wake up and see that he's got like 15, 5, and 5 because he can't do anything with them in the court. But
no, I mean, it has been with just Rudy out there, with just one of them out there, he's been pretty dominant. But I don't know. I mean, I do love Anthony Edwards. I feel like he's just gonna be that guy for the rest of the season. So I would very comfortably run him out there.
100%. So
is there
is your prioritization then the in-season tournament? Is that how you're going about things now?
So I tried to pick up more MVP caliber type guys that aren't like the superstars, right? So I picked up Steph and Anthony Davis, a Kyrie. I think those are like the three in that range. So that is the first lineup I'm filling out. And then whoever of like this week, I'll use AD and Kyrie in that in-season tournament, and then I'll use Steph as my MVP in the champion. So I still am like building out, like I'll actually show again, I'm probably going to change these, but this is what I've built out so far. So yeah, I did the in-season first. Then I went over to Rare Champion and messed around and put Steph, Bam, PJ Washington, Eric Gordon, and Grant Williams. So that's not like, that's fine. That'll hang around.
Whenever you fill the cap out, though, even if it's just like one, it just looks so much better. I feel like it's always, then you have a chance, is how I see it.
Right. We'll still be live. And then my rare contender, I actually think was pretty solid. Oh, yeah. This one had Zion, Mark Williams, our boy Colin, Yuta, the aforementioned Yuta, and then DeAndre Ayton. I'd actually love to. I think I was off by one cap to put Bismack Biyombo in there. Yeah, because that used up the cap perfectly. But yeah, so I filled out the in-season first, but I tried not to sacrifice anything. Like I tried to make sure that they were all still relatively competitive in there.
So I think as well so the first week there was 1,376 lineups for that initial game week. And I feel this week there'll probably be a little bump is what I'd expect to see, just because more people have newer cards from winning them and things like that. Yep. So I would expect to see a few more lineups in there. But I think come like game week 4 and 5, if there is 5 or there's 7, however they've done it, I think we might tend to see a few less going in there and people not playing good cards. Because if they've got to a point where they're like, damn, I cannot win a reward now, They're not
Right.
going to put decent cards in there, and I think it should then, in theory, get a little bit easier towards the back end of it. So there's different ways to look at it.
No, I think you're right. I think like we're the max that we're gonna, because I can't remember if it's 8 game weeks or 7 game weeks total, whatever it is, right? Once we hit that cusp of like no, there gonna be no new lineups, no new one's gonna be trying it out. Like you're right. I think this game week and next game week will probably be the 2 highest ones that we see. Yeah, I'll be fascinated to see how many, because there was if I remember correctly, like way more rare champion and rare contenders than in the in-season tournament contest, I think, right? Because the in-season what was the, if I go to the leaderboard right now, that'll
It's like
tell me, right?
1,400, I think, 1,300, 1,400.
Okay, so maybe not. Maybe there ended up being more. But considering that you could use limited cards too, I thought that was going to be a much higher number.
I think as well, I want to see this do well because I really like this format just in general, because they don't have to do it because it's just the in-season tournament. They can do a month long of rare under 20 or under 23 or something like that.
Yeah.
And it's just, again, and it doesn't have to be like cards that are given. And I know this is a big gripe with Rare Champion at the minute, because in Rare Champion, it is like ridiculously hard to win a reward right now. But they haven't launched the coins and the shop on this side of the game yet. And once that comes, it will make it a little bit more tangible and easier to swallow if you don't win any card that week. It doesn't have to be it. Like they're doing like jerseys and game tickets now on the football side. So they're gonna do stuff for the NBA. It's just how it works.
Yeah, I know. I'm looking forward to more of that stuff too. Like you're right. I understand some gripes people have with it. You know, you're like, well, I'm really not going to win anything. We're like a month into it. I'm still not going to. I totally understand that frustration. But that, to me, that's way better than giving out, like, you know, than minting the cards to 3,000. So that way we can give out tier 5s every week, you know, like, and then, because then people are going to complain that they're winning crap, you know? So,
yes,
I would much rather it be hard, but then when you win something, it's like not meaningful, but you know what I mean? It's like a useful piece.
With that said, the one thing that I do, well, not that I don't want it, I just don't understand it on the premise of that they were like, yeah, we're going to reduce mints down. Let's really focus in on getting really solid, good rewards for everyone in the player base. And it was like, also, we're going to do this street ball competition where you can win $1 if you play all your rare cards in it. And I'm just like, I don't really understand the logic on that one there. I don't get that one.
Well, if you do it every single week, you know, it's
you can cash that up all the way to the playoffs and buy yourself an Evan Mobley. There you go.
That's pretty funny. Any other like big takeaways from the in-season tournament on the so rare side of things, or anything that's got the juice is flowing?
I think they could have labeled, like, in terms of the players that you have in your lineups, it would have been quite nice to see what games in particular were in season ones. Like, they probably from a UI standpoint, they could have done a little bit better there. But I mean, that's me really going for small holes in this whole thing. I can't see how people can moan at it. It's like another tournament. There was 60 grand in the entry level competition. Like, they're just trying things again, and they're doing new competitions. So they'll learn from the things that didn't work. They'll learn from the things that did work and make it work and make things better in the future for us. So I think it's great.
I'm excited too for whatever if they have a specific contest for the Vegas like weekend or something like that, because again, I'm going to be there, so I'm excited to have like a live in-person sweat for that in-season tournament.
Yeah, that's going to be, I mean, the thing that I was actually just looking at right now, and I mentioned it earlier in terms of the incentive to jump up to scarcity, and like super rare now is extremely expensive in comparison to what it was since they slashed it to 10.
Right.
But like looking at the in-season tournament for the super rare stuff, you get paid to 15th place. You get $1,200 for playing that, and there's 39 people that entered it. So I'm like, if I'd have took the jump and only played in season tournament that weekend, who knows? I could have. If you hit there, you're getting half your stake back on terms of the cards that you've bought, and then you can use them for the rest of the NBA seasons and going forward. So there's bits and pieces that will come into it from there, but
it was funny too, like listening to what's his name, Mark Wyatt, YNWA, who won the unique auction for Wemby. And I don't know if you saw, I'm sure you saw it, but for people listening, he won 13% of that back in his first game week using Wemby, which is like that's crazy. I was stunned by that number.
Yeah, it's so what I think he got like a unique, a super rare tier 1, and then like some solid amount of cash that comes with it. I think is how it'll work this year. And obviously it's under the pretenses of, well, if he won that week, like things could have gone. Wemby could have gone over and just ripped his Achilles. Like anything could have happened. But it's the premise of that this happened, and I think that's the whole idea of, if you want to take the plunge onto the next level, or you want to go out and buy the AD rare or spend the money on the Luka limited like I done, like you have to factor in, okay, I'm probably going to win something when I then invest in these better cards, and that's how it's going to go from it. But, yeah, the numbers he's talking are about are not quite in the in the budget for it, but yeah.
And that's what I was talking to Billy Jackson, who does top tier projections, and he did a similar thing where he moved from rare to super rare this year.
I tweeted him the other night, and he sent me, because I asked him the question in terms of if he was playing it beforehand, and he basically was just like, no, I just put a load of money in and then thought I'm going to win from it. And then I was like, okay, actually, you have your whole projection things going on. You're probably going to win from it.
Yeah. Well, that was kind of my thought process with buying just spending money this week. Cause it's like, if I'm going to try, like, yes, you can grind out. And also, none of this is financial advice. I'm not trying to tell you.
I was literally about to say, is this where we drop in the financial promotion?
I'm not trying to say like that. I'm just what I decided was I looked at what I did last year, and last year I would buy 1 or 2 pieces, usually like those low L10s of guys that were way too expensive to like fill out my last lineup. And like, maybe I'd win, maybe I wouldn't. But I was like, why am I doing that when I could just, and this was what TST did, where he's like, I just bought a Giannis instead. and now I know I'm going to play him every week. There's no question around it. I know he's going in every single week. And I'm like, yeah, you're right. Because I don't know if I'm going to play Dorian Finney-Smith every week. So why am I spending money on Dorian Finney-Smith?
Yeah, that's the other thing. That's why when I have bought cards this year, I'm trying to do it not for a one. I know I bought Kyle Kuzma and Jeremy Grant, who I already had. So this is completely contradicting myself. But I'm trying to do it so like I'll buy the cards knowing that, okay, these have got really good utility pretty much all year, and I'm actually going to run with them and not get left with like 7 Buddy Boheims and like, oh, great. Yeah, that's gone really well. Mine version of that is Colin Gillespie, who I'm going to continue to victory. Yeah, but he's got a sweet dynamic image. That's how that you can factor that one in there. So.
And listen, since I bought him, his cap has doubled from 2 to 4.
Oh, big ahead of the curve right there. There we go.
I'm sure the prices dropped drastically on him, though. Well, all right. I think that wraps up the in-season tournament stuff. I won't keep us here too long. I won't force us to go a full hour. But is there any I don't know, like just any other like big picture so rare stuff? I know we've talked already about your mounting success in the rare competitions, but any other like, I don't know, like big picture things or stuff that you've been enjoying, frustrated with, anything like that?
I wouldn't say frustrated. The communication at the start of the year was really, really positive in terms of laying out the roadmap of what they wanted to do. Mm-hmm. And I still think we're in a much better stead this time we are than last year. But I kind of want to know a little bit more of an update on when like the collection bonuses are coming and how they're going to play a part, because they will play a part in the gameplay side of things. And then also just what the plans are for the coins in the shop, because I think that would help like ease off some of the pressure that people have got of like, I can't win this year on champion, on contender. It's a lot harder than last year. If they log on every week and see that I haven't got literally anything to open, I've got a couple of common cards and then like 1,000 coins. And if I keep doing that every week for the next couple months, I can get myself an NBA store card or a league pass or a jersey or something of that ilk. And it will just help people play the game a little bit more.
I think so too. It's funny. I haven't been paying attention to much of the store stuff just because I don't play over on the football side of things. But you're right. I mean, League Pass too is such a simple thing that people like get so excited about because everybody uses it. So
it was, and then like last year, I always remember the one that used to crack me up was like in Unique, the guys that have got a $50,000 lineup here. You win Unique. Here's that $80 League Pass for you. You're welcome. That's going to be it.
That one was pretty funny. You know what though? I would guess it was like all hands on deck getting this So Rare, the in-season tournament up and running,
100%.
because I bet the NBA, and this isn't to make excuses for them or anything, but my guess would be the NBA was like, hey, we're pushing this as hard as we can, the in-season tournament in general. And so they were like, So Rare, you're a partner. What are you doing for
Do
us?
something.
And
Yeah.
yeah. And I mean, because of that, like you've seen So Rare out and about in some like NBA advertisements, which has been cool too. But yeah, I think so. I would like to see that too, because it is easy for everyone to be excited about So Rare NBA the first 2 months of the season, right? I think when you start getting into late December, early January and February, like the newness and the shininess of it wears off a little bit. So I'll be curious to see like like when that stuff comes out.
It's not even like I want to know where it is, where the hell is it, all of that. I just kind of feel like, just let us know when you're planning on sort of doing it would be kind of great. Just like, is it still in the realms? Are you still doing it? Has it been axed? Like that's all it is really. But yeah, completely agree. They'll have had all hands on deck on the in-season tournament side of things. So, and they're doing loads of updates for all the other sports and everything that comes with it. So it's easy to make excuses. It's just sort of, just let us know is I think really. Communication's the main thing. If you're like, hey, we are spread thin over here and we can't get to it for like another week, that's cool. Just be like, yeah, fine.
So Nico, if you're listening, just slide into George's DMs, let him know like what's going on.
That'd be great. Yeah, I mean, he's obviously watching right now as well, so it's really, I don't know, man. Key.
He might be. Hey, so we're gonna do this show every week. Originally, I was like, let's not do it live. I want to do something different, but it's just way easier to just fire up a live stream, and it's nice having a chat. But like a live chat. But what I would say is, if you guys, the people who are either watching it live or in playback later, reach out to us if you guys have big picture stuff. Because what I would like to do, like this week, I wanted to specifically talk about the in-season tournament. But week to week, instead of just being like, what are the best buys and sells, or what should I do for this game week, I'd rather find some more like big strategic topics, when it comes to gameplay and stuff. So if you guys have stuff that you would like us to talk about, reach out to either one of us, because I think that would be good to hear from you.
I think the rivals mode is going to be something that they're going to push. That's probably their next thing. That's probably what they're working on right now. In fact,
yeah,
the rivals thing is going to be the really big draw to sort of, hey, you're sitting at a bar watching this NBA game. Let's play So Rare, and then that's how they're going to go for it. So
yeah, I think so too. I mean, especially for those, if you were like live in game too, like that's like at an arena. I think that's going to be a lot of fun. Yeah, I think that, we'll definitely have some stuff on that when that comes by. But yeah, if you have any thoughts of what you'd like us to talk about, hit us up. George, what do you have coming up? What are you working on these days?
So still over at the Swingman Podcast, or at Swingman Pod on YouTube. Over there is where I do all of my So Rare videos each week. I'll normally do 2 a week at the moment in terms of running through the lineups I'm doing and some of the guys that I think are going to be really beneficial to play in the current week. And also, as I mentioned, I've hit a few rewards, so I'm going to open them up on there as well. And then in general, the podcast that I've been doing with a couple of guys now, we just sit and we have a general chat about the NBA. No, this sort of rubbish that you get on First Take of hyperbole, everything there. We just talk about the NBA, how real it is, and we want to just it's a general chit chat. So, and also we're UK guys' opinion. So I know we're going to get kind of shit on from it. of like, I don't know basketball. They're over in British land. But we've been doing it now for a few years. So that's us. So if you want to come and check that out, I'd be more than happy to have you. So, yeah.
There you go. Yeah, go check it out. I'll have it once this goes up. I'll have it all linked in the show notes too, so you can catch up with that. But and yeah, for me, we have Shot Tank tonight at 9. No TST tonight, just me, John, and Jeb. And then tomorrow the NBA Bits back, and then tomorrow midday doing a stream over on the So Rare channel for the unique auction.
Hell yeah.
To be honest, so. With Mr. Laird. Yeah, I'll be curious to see what that goes for. Yeah,
I was going to say, what's your like early calls on that? Because it's like bam in your face now when you load up the website, which I've noticed as well, which is kind of like, hey, yeah, here's a $10,000 card. And I'm like, I'm just checking my $20 bid on someone. But
I know. My guess is because last year's went for 87, right? But that was 87,000, I think. That was year one. My guess is it's probably somewhere in the low to mid 30s, maybe. Like 35, 36, something like that. What about you?
So I mean, as I am my in-depth knowledge on the unique market because I'm scouting it all day long. I would suspect, yeah, he's probably going to be around. I'd realm in like the £40,000 mark. It's probably, but maybe that's too high. But I just think Giannis is kind of, it's probably whoever wins it's probably a good time because right now, not that his stocks are low, but like we said, he's just not scoring like he normally does. So I think, and then that coupled with the Wemby, I mean, I don't know, but it's normally like Giannis will be a good one to watch along with like Jokic and Luka and everything that comes with it, so.
So check that out tomorrow. But yeah, dude, George, thanks for doing this, man. I'm excited to do it every week, and so people hit us up if you get some stuff. And then for George, for myself, we're gonna get on out of here. We'll see you.